So I just finished reading the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, literally just like 10 minutes ago. But before we get into it, I want to give you some background on what really led me to read this book. I was reading Seven Habits of Highly Effective Humans by Stephen Covey, and he talks about the book very briefly, but it sparked my interest. So, Stephen Covey, he talks about how self improvement books have changed over the past 200 years, and I'll just read this quote. He says, I began to feel that more and more that much of the success of literature of the past 50 years was superficial. It was filled with social image, consciousness, techniques, and quick fixes, with social band-aids and aspirin that addressed acute problems and sometimes even appeared to solace them temporarily, but left underlying chronic problems untouched to fester and resurface time and time again. In stark contrast, almost all of the literature in the first 150 years or so focused on what could be called the character of ethics as the foundation of success. Things like integrity, humility, fidelity, temperance, courage, justice, patience, industry, simplicity, modesty, and the golden rule. Benjamin Franklin's autobiography is representative of that literature. It is basically the story of one man's effort to integrate certain principles and habits deep within his nature. And this is something I care about a lot. I care about our character and who we are becoming, and I don't know, I just really connected with what Stephen Covey was saying at that time. What's amazing about the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin is it honestly leaves out a major portion of his life. Honestly, the portion most of us would be familiar with, everything right before the Revolutionary War and afterwards. But what this does is it gives us a great view of Benjamin Franklin's life, the things that made him who he is, the things that put him on the $100 bill. You know, Benjamin Franklin, his life, as he describes himself as a youth, he had a great character. He had one that he didn't want to lose, and he worked hard to keep it strong. And that's what we'll be talking about today. Benjamin Franklin, my favorite chapter in the whole book, talks about his quest for moral perfection. He writes out the different virtues that he wants to accomplish, and then every single day he tracks where he missed. He tracks his errors. And just that kind of accountability for himself is so powerful. You see his character, you see just how much he wants to get better. He says that he was gifted with a good character as a child, and he had a resolution not to lose it, but to make it better. The virtues that Benjamin Franklin lists are temperance, silence, order, resolution, frugality, industry, sincerity, justice, moderation, cleanliness, tranquility, chastity, and humility. And I took it upon myself to track myself in these virtues just for a week to see where I landed and where I could improve. And I definitely feel like I struggled with industry and resolution a lot. There were a lot of times this week where I felt like I could have been more productive. I felt like I could have been more resolute in the things that I decided to do to really have the resolve to do them. So it was really fun to just see where I was at and to track for myself for a week, to be really just have a lot of intent as I was doing this. It was quite fun. One of the greatest quotes in the book is in this chapter. He talks about how weeding the vices out of our lives is as a man with his garden. He says, and like him who, having a garden to weed, does not attempt to eradicate all of the herbs at once, which would exceed his reach and his strength, he works on one of the beds at a time. And I love this perspective, especially as being a college student right now, having most of my life ahead of me. It feels very overwhelming to think about where I need to be. But Benjamin Franklin has it right. He says, one bed at a time we weed out. And that's what he does. He goes weeks and weeks focusing on one virtue at a time, on developing one at a time. And I just think that's an amazing way to do things, an amazing way to do self-improvement. One of the most inspiring things about Benjamin Franklin to me is just his quest for knowledge. Throughout the whole book, he is constantly reading everything that he can get his hands on. He's constantly talking to every single person who could have a different opinion or a way to shed some light on some subject. One of my favorite parts is when he is playing chess with a man who knows French, and they teach each other English and French while they are playing chess with each other. And I just think that's such a powerful way to live life. He also starts a club called the Junto. The Junto is a club of thinkers. It's a club where they come together and discuss and debate and spend time in philosophy, spend time just. He calls it one of the best decisions of his life was creating that. And I can see it in the way that it helped him and in the way that it helped the community. Together as the Junto, they created the first public library in Pennsylvania. They, like, it's amazing the way they helped the community. Overall, Benjamin Franklin was one of the most successful men of the early continental US. And this really was not due to, like Stephen Covey said, any quick fix, any. It was hard work for him to get where he was at, not because he was so good at business and not because he was just so smart. In that instance, he certainly was. But it really came from his character. As he developed those attributes, he was able to find favor in the sight of others. He was able to do great things and serve the community in ways that few people are able to do. And that's really inspiring to me. And it makes me think about just the problems of our day. I really feel like we seek happiness in the wrong places. Many people will say that happiness is found only in your greatest achievements. Many say it's found in wealth and being prosperous, having a large house, maybe a nice pool, a car, a Tesla. Maybe it's found in partying with your friends on the weekend, some type of idle joy, idle fun. But I love how Benjamin Franklin describes human felicity. He says, human felicity is produced not so much by great pieces of good fortune that seldom happen, as by little advantages that occur every day. And I think that's just such a good focus on the simplicity of life. We seek joy in these huge, great spectacle things. But really, Benjamin Franklin seems to believe that it's found in moderation and temperance in the small things of every day. And also in personal industry and resolution to do what you said you would do. He uses the example of just a young man who learns to shave. He says, thus, if you teach a poor young man to shave himself and keep his razor in order, you may contribute more to the happiness of his life than in giving him 1,000 guineas. Just having his razor in order, being able to do that all himself, not having to have somebody else shave for him, but really having that personal independence, that personal becoming, that order, that resolution to do what you said you would do. That will bring him more happiness than riches, than wealth, than power. It's amazing. So what is the importance of morality? How has self-improvement changed over the past 200 years? And how do we craft character? Benjamin Franklin believes that we do it one bet at a time, that we craft character slowly but intentionally, that we really be accountable to ourselves, that when we have a resolve to do something, that we really do it. I think resolution is my favorite word that I'm taking from this book. Just I love it. We've always talked about New Year's resolutions. I don't think I ever really connected to that word to like having a resolve, what that really means to follow through. A resolution isn't just a goal, it's an action, a resolve that you will do something, that you will, I think, is so good. Such a good word. But thanks for joining me today. Hopefully you gained something. Really, this isn't for anyone else other than me, honestly. I like this opportunity to sink in what I'm learning, and yeah, hopefully I get to do this more often.